want to welcome you all and thank you for coming here to our masterclass on how to get your spouse back without getting your heart hurt. And so today we're going to talk about a couple things. We're going to talk about a 4-step system to save your marriage without getting your heart hurt. We want to be able to protect you and get you the results that you're looking for, no matter what's going on in your relationship currently. Now, this method has worked with clients all across the spectrum, but we specifically help those that are on the verge of divorce, are separated, have affairs going on, in really dire kind of circumstances here. And this works even if your spouse is completely checked out, even if there's an affair that's going on, even if there's no communication whatsoever, or there's even just complete lack of trust. And so again, I really like to make this a discussion, not, like a dialogue, not a monologue. So use the chat, really sink into this and pay attention to that light bulb moment that you might have, that aha moment that you might have, and really sink into what the inner part of you is really wanting here. And put that in the chat. Go ahead and leave questions in the chat. I really want to encourage you guys to use that a lot so I can make this as applicable to you as possible. And so this method is going to work as long as you commit to do exactly what we tell you to do. And I'll explain why that is here in a little bit. Oh no, go back. I'm clicking too fast. And now I went too far. There we go. Cool. So I want to ask you, this is the first question that I want you guys to put into the chat. What is your situation? So type A, like the type A here is a divorce filed, like your spouse has already talked to a lawyer, they have a divorce filed, they have papers in hand, and you want to know what you can do to get them to cancel that divorce and how you can get them back with you forever. So that's type A. Type B, you might have no trust, there might be an affair going on, lots of different trust issues. You can talk to your spouse, but your spouse doesn't believe what you say or do, or vice versa. Raquel asks, what if the affair includes a pregnancy? Yeah, exactly. So that would definitely fall into that type B category. Tarina, affair, Mindy, type B, and Scott says no communication, right? And so type C, which is where a lot of people, in fact, almost every single one of us when our marriage is struggling, would say this is where it really becomes challenging, is that communication is out the window, right? I've been married 14 years with my husband, Ben. We have 8 children. And when our marriage is struggling in the past, like the first thing that goes out the window is always communication. So maybe you can't talk without arguing, or maybe there's just complete stonewalling. They won't talk to you. They won't open up. You want to talk about the marriage and they put up the walls. They refuse, right? Your spouse doesn't believe what you say, and your spouse like doesn't open up and avoids that deep communication. So N, I'm not sure what your full name is, but that's fine. N says B and C. Carrie says type A and B, not type A and C. Okay. So a lot of you are saying communication. And also we've got a good amount of trust. And Raquel says divorce is always brought up. Yeah. So I want to do something special here to help out with that communication, since it's so crucial to be able to talk about our problems, right? So we can solve them. Jake says B and C. P says as divorce filed. Raquel, lack of communication was the start to his change. All right. So as a gift here for staying to the end, I want to give you guys, oh my goodness, what's going on with my slides today? There we go. Our 7 proven conversation starters. And this is an incredibly powerful guide. After working with thousands of clients around the world, we've really distilled down how to get communication open. And these are literally things that you can copy and paste, like text messages that you can send, in-person interactions that you can have. If you really want to know, how do I get them to open up about this? Or how do I handle this really tricky conversation? These are ways to get the conversation started. So does this sound helpful to you guys? Let me know if this is something that you guys want. Those that stay until the end of our masterclass today, I'm going to take a screenshot and have it emailed to you tomorrow with the replay. So Jake says yes, Scott, yes, Carrie, yes, Tarina, awesome, cool. All right, and Ren wants to do his own thing, given all the usual excuse on why he wants divorce. Cool, well, we'll talk about that in a minute, so really pay attention. Ainsworth, sorry, Mindy, cool, Raquel. All right, so stay to the end, and I'll make sure that I get this for you. It's gonna be really, really powerful and helpful for you guys. every time I click it, it goes to the next one. I'm not sure why. Sorry, guys. I've done this before many, many times, and it's just like Monday morning or something here. All right. So who are we? Why are we qualified to share this with you guys? Why is this even important? Why should you listen to us, right? We've been seen on CBS, Fox, and on First for Women. We've been doing this for half a decade. We've been coaching couples all around the world for 5 years, and we are overbooked. We currently have over 12,500 clients and students actively worldwide, but we've coached tens of thousands of students now in our coaching program as well as in our courses. And our program boasts an almost 93% success rate. And so that's a little bit about us. My partner Sergio is probably going to come on here at the end and answer some of your questions and work with you guys here a little bit. And then Mark Johnston is our head marriage coach, and I am Heather Cho. I want to share a little bit about my story and what.
Good morning, beautiful souls. Heather here. How are you doing today? I want to ask you a question and see if you relate to this. If this resonates with you, leave a comment, say me, raise your hand, say, yeah, that I can relate to that. So have you ever hit rock bottom? Have you ever hit that place where you're just like, oh, I don't know if I can keep doing this. I don't know if things could possibly get any worse than this. Are you in that kind of a place right now? I want to share with you 4 years ago when I hit rock bottom. I had gone through cancer treatment at the age of 29 while pregnant with our sixth baby. I had doctors look me in the eyes and tell me, Heather, if you don't abort your baby, you're risking your life. It's not going to end well for you. You're not going to make it. Well, I proved them wrong. And here I was with this beautiful new baby, but still in the fight for my life. I had to go through chemotherapy and radiation. In the process, my husband and I, we lost our home. We lost our business. We moved up to his parents' land. And we moved into a camper trailer with our 6 children, living in a camper trailer. I'd never felt so humiliated in my life. And I hit this point where I felt like I had lost my health, I lost our home, I lost our business, I lost my friends, I lost my support, and now my husband was turning to his family for emotional support, and I felt like I was losing my marriage. And I remember one night I was cooking spaghetti in our camper trailer, our 6 children around me, and I remember tears just pouring down my face as I'm making this spaghetti, and I'm watching as the tears are falling into the spaghetti. I don't know if I even served it. If I did, I guess we survived. And I just remember thinking, I can't do this anymore. If I lose my marriage, if I lose my husband, I have nothing left. I've already lost everything. And I remember going to him and telling him, Ben, I just need to leave. I can't do this anymore. And it was the first time that either of us had ever said those words. He asked me not to go, and he stood in the camper trailer with tears falling down his face as I got in our Suburban and I drove away. I left him there, crying with our 6 kids. You want to know how far I made it? 3.2 miles. That was the first time I'd ever left. That was the only time I've ever left. And I watched that mile counter, 0.10 of a mile, 0.2 of a mile, 0.3 of a mile. And again, the tears are just streaming down my face. And I am asking myself, what am I doing? It got to the point where I couldn't see anymore. So I pulled over 3.2 miles. And I'm in a beautiful, incredible sunflower field. And the sunflowers are just beautiful and golden and bright. It was such a contrast to the darkness that I felt inside myself. In that moment, I asked myself, Heather, is there another way of looking at this? I realized in that moment that if I left this marriage, if I left him, that darkness that was in me, it would stay with me no matter where I went and with whomever I went with. Because that story that I wasn't good enough was what was creating that chaos in my life, was creating that pain. And I realized in that moment that limiting belief was was creating all of that circumstance. So can you relate to that? What is the limiting story that is holding you back, that is holding you in pain? When you can release that story, that is when you can find healing and ultimate happiness in your life.
All right. So that's a little bit about my story. And yes, that's me there, pregnant and bald. um, and so going through that experience really woke me up to the cycles that I was in, the negative cycles about myself and about my marriage, and the negative communication cycles. And I just realized life is too short. I need to solve this. So I set out on a journey to heal those internal limiting beliefs that were really keeping me stuck in pain. And I realized how powerful our stories really are. And that's what I wanted to talk about today with our 4-step method to help you not only transform your own internal story that might be keeping you stuck in a lot of pain year after year, month after month, decade after decade, whatever it might look like for you. And more importantly, really helping you to let your spouse let go of their story about you in the marriage. So what is a step-by-step process, right? It's a step-by-step process to help you get your spouse back. Not just short-term, but long-term. We're about lasting results. We don't just put a Band-Aid on a cancer tumor, right? That wouldn't have served me. No, this is about getting down deep and solving things that you can truly thrive and have the happiness that you want long-term. Now, what we found is that my partner, Mark Johnston, he came from traditional therapy. And he did that for about 10 years and learned that, traditional therapy is great if you just got married. Like, traditional therapy is great if you're looking to get married, or traditional therapy is great if you're happy together and you just have occasional disagreements. But it simply takes too long to save a marriage if it's on the verge of divorce. The process just takes too long. And if you're in that situation where your spouse says, I'm in love with someone else, or I love you, but I'm not, in love with you, or I think we should be divorced, or whatever, right? That you don't have time on your side. And so what we wanted to do is come together to create a method that would give you the best results the fastest, right? And unfortunately, traditional therapy is just not the solution for most extreme cases. And that's when we really started to research. And we eventually found one little thing that most people need to get their spouse back. And that's what I'm going to share with you guys today. All right. But, oh, there it goes again. What is with this? Okay. Let's begin with an exercise. Okay. This is something that we do with all of our clients because it's really crucial to go through this process and have clarity on where we want to go. So I want us all to get intentional for a minute. This is about you, what you want out of your marriage and your life. So ask yourself these 2 questions. First, where do I want my marriage to be 3 months from now? And I want to see your answers in the chat. I'm watching all of it. So Tarina, Raquel, Mindy, Jake, Scott, all of you guys, put in the chat, where do I want my marriage to be 3 months from now? Maybe for some of you that looks like, I want my spouse, my husband, my wife to come home. I want them to stop the divorce process. I want them to end the affair. I want them to put their wedding ring back on. I want us to be able to communicate deeply and understand each other. Where do you want your marriage to be 3 months from now, 3 years from now, 30 years from now? Mindy says, back to the way we used to be, so much in love. Okay, now they're coming in so fast. Awesome. Melissa, my husband home. Please, Aaron, come home. I'm sorry. Beautiful. Raquel, I want him to end the affair and wear his ring again. Yeah. Tarina, I want to feel appreciated and adored again. Cameron, I want my partner to come home and be happy again, how we used to be, right? Like when you were first in love, right? To come home and end living with her girlfriend. Back to talking and working as a team, wearing her ring, Scott. And I want my husband to move back home and us really working on things. We've been separated since December. Okay, I'm going to share something with you in a little bit. I really want you to pay attention to that, D. PC, oh no, I can't. I lost it because there's awesome. Somebody coming in. PC, stop the separation process and him to have romantic feelings for me. Amber, I want my marriage to be 3 months from now. I want us to be able to communicate deeply and wear the ring. I want my love fairy tale back. Awesome. Raquel, I want him to show me that he loves me the way he tells me he still does. So show me, right? Not just action, not just words, but actions. A, stay home and value me. Love that. Ainsworth, I want my wife not to feel like we need to separate and we can work on things. Carrie, 3 months from now, I'd like to have a good conversation, work on things. Tanya, open and deep communication and intimacy. Ren, him to be happy and working as a team, raising our family together. Beautiful. Jake, Lake, I want her to love me again and have a trust back in our marriage. PC, I want to feel happier, respected, and loved. Scott, I don't want to be in a financial only marriage. Yeah, no joke. I'm not sure how to pronounce her name. Rokio, I think. Apologize if I got that wrong, but more communication and looking for another woman and hiding things. Yes, Cameron, amazing, loved, and cared for. And have trust and happy family. Ren, him to believe we can make it till death. Beautiful. So how would that really feel to have your spouse in love with you again? I want you to sink into that deeper inner part of you that knows truth. I believe that there's that inner guidance that we all have when we actually quiet the fear and we quiet all the distractions, we quiet the overwhelm, and we listen to that truth, okay? And that truth will guide you to that destination as you hold to it. My husband's a pilot, and he takes me up flying sometimes in these little propeller planes. And it amazes me because he spends all this time to chart his course, right? He always has that very specific destination in mind. They don't just get up in the air and be like, okay, I'm going to fly around and maybe go over here and then spend 2 hours over there. And then I might run out of gas, right? Like, no, they know exactly where they're going and they have to file their flight plans. So they have to decide their destination and prepare as much as they can for it. But one interesting thing I've learned is that 99% of the time, a pilot is actually off course. I didn't know that. I thought like it was mostly they're on course, right? But the truth is 99% of the time they're actually off course because there's some unexpected wind or, there's hail on the mountains. And so now we have to go around or whatever it is. Or now there's like a flight diversion because some military training, right? And so whatever happens, whatever challenges come, they're making all these tiny little course corrections to get back on course. And they never lose sight of that destination. And that's how they arrive successfully at that little tiny dot on this incredible planet, right? They put one tiny dot on the map and they land there and they achieve that result. And so that's my encouragement for each of us is that we know where we want to go. And when life takes us a little bit off course, because it's going to, right? There's things we cannot control, but we control what we're going to do about it. So we get ourselves back on that path. And I'm going to share with you exactly what that path is here today. Sound good? You guys excited for that? Carrie says, loved and respected and have trust and be honest with each other. Okay. So our big discovery after working with thousands of couples, truly thousands of couples, you can look us up. We're the fastest online growing marriage resource. We've got over 30 something thousand in our Facebook group, right? Thousands of couples now. We found one little thing, guys. It was a big reason why marriages were ending in divorce. And I think it's something insane. I think it's incredible because literally no one else is talking about it. In fact, we didn't even know it ourselves until after we'd been doing this for a couple years. And we realized that there was still one thing that was missing. We could get couples to communicate again. We could get them to even become friends again, but they still wanted a divorce. And we were like, why? Why is it that now they have this great connection and we're able to get them so far, but their partner still wants out? So we realized there's one thing that we were missing and that everyone else is missing as well. And so this is a big discovery here. Here's what it's not, okay? I'm going to tease you a little bit here, but here's what it's not before I go into what it is. It's not, quote unquote, working on yourself. Raise your hand, put it in the comment here, say me, if you've been told in order to save your marriage, you need to work on yourself. That's the advice I was given, right? And I get where it's coming from because we need to focus on the things that we can control. And we know we can't control our spouse. So we have to focus on the things we can control. But here's what it's not. This is why this is not the solution, okay? Jake says yes. Tarina says yes. Amber says me. Yeah, exactly. So we would ask our clients, how are you doing working on yourself? And they would say things like, Scott, I'm sure you're saying the same thing. I'm losing weight. I'm getting into shape. I'm working out at the gym. Like I'm in the best shape of my life now, right? I'm improving my health. I'm better with the kids. I help out more at the house. I do the laundry. I cook the food. I'm more present, right? I listen more. I understand more. I stopped drinking. I stopped complaining. I stopped neglecting my spouse. I stopped having an affair, right? Whatever the challenge was before, I stopped all those things. I even meditate, right? And then we'd ask them, how's your marriage? And Amber says, this is my life. Yeah, exactly. And we say, how's your marriage? And they would say, we're still getting a divorce. And so the solution is not to work on yourself. Working on yourself is not the solution for saving your marriage. I'll explain why. I know that might sound weird, But this is everyone else is saying we need to work on ourselves, and I'm saying we don't. But the solution is to work on changing your spouse's story and their beliefs about you. In other words, kind of like marketing ourselves to them to the point where they now know, like, and trust us again. Okay. Here's our big discovery. 98% of the time, our spouse, they've built up a belief about us, right? Which justifies their reasons in going. And I want to hear in the chat here, put in the chat, what are the reasons why your spouse says they want out? Okay. Jake says you summed up my life right now. Awesome. Yeah. So what are their reasons? It might sound something like these are some common ones, right? Like, you just won't change. Or, I see that you're changing, but it's just temporary. And if I come back to you, it's just going to go back to the way it was. You're just manipulating me to try to get me back. And if I come back to you, then I'll just be hurt again. And I'm done with that, right? I'm just done. I want out, right? I can't trust you. You broke my trust. And once trust is broken, I can never restore that trust again, right? I'll never trust you again. And there's no love without trust. Do you guys hear things like that? Raquel says, oh, I can't hold my issues to myself. I talk too much. Mindy loves me, but not in love with me. Yeah, exactly. Said he fell out of love for me. Raquel, he doesn't trust me. Ainsworth, she said, I never give her a voice. Ren says, literally every one of those. Tarina, stress at home and work. Couldn't talk without me turning it to me. Carrie, yes, most definitely. Amber, I see you're changing, but it's too late and he still sleeps in the same bed. Jake, I'm too controlling and I smother her. Yeah, I broke her trust and she broke her trust with me. All the above, Margaret. Love me, but not as he used to, Raquel says. Melissa, my husband says he'll never trust me. I cheated. He says I'm just manipulating him to come back and it's short term. 1 month, he loved me, happy on vacation. Yeah, moved out last Friday. Okay, good. Let's really pay attention to this next part, Melissa. Cameron, I've heard all of them. Yeah. And Messenger, that I'm controlling. I've dealt with alcoholism and shopping addiction, my husband, and infidelity. Yeah, Tanya, I'm too controlling. I don't trust him with the kids. All right. So all of these ones, I love you, but I'm not in love with you. I need to quote unquote find myself. Maybe we're better as friends. Maybe it's better for the kids if we separate. That way we're not fighting all the time. Maybe we are better to co-parent. I just can't be happy here. I don't get what I want. Ren says he's not happy. Raquel, all of the above. So here's the really important thing. Really lean into this, okay? These are the stories that they have built up in their mind over the weeks, over the months, over the years. And guys, we believe our own stories. Like, we'll go to the grave to defend what we believe is true, even if it's completely not true. To us, it is true. And so you might know that this story that they have about you is completely not true, but to them, it is true. Okay, we all live in our own reality. We all have our own perception. And so we have to change that story and remove those beliefs or they won't come back. Okay, here's the old model. Improve yourself, right? Work on yourself, improve yourself, make those positive changes. And that takes years. You hope your spouse notices. And then unfortunately, in most cases, it's just too late. Here's what PATH does, our new model. It makes your spouse notice right away. And 2 months, 3 months, several months, we're going to get back together and then improve yourself. So it's kind of the backwards way of looking at it. And in the process of working on their story about us, we're actually going to improve ourselves along the way. So it's not about working on ourselves. It's about changing the story that they have about us, and we'll work on ourselves in addition to it. It's like, instead of either or, it's both, right? Does that make sense? Let me know if you are understanding what I've explained so far, and I'll go a little bit deeper into it. But if you ever have a question, let me know, and I can go back and explain it better or in a different way. Okay. Mindy says yes. Melissa, how do we change the story? No, you didn't miss it, Melissa. I'm going to come up to that part. This is the big part, right? Scott says, sounds good. Cool. All right. So how to change their story? Melissa asks. Awesome question. This method will show them that we've changed without us even needing to say it. Okay. And it's a simple 4-step process. Dan, she's moved out. Now talking to me. Is there hope? Listen to this next part. Okay. Amber, sounds great. 4-step process. Call it the PATH method. It's an acronym. PATH stands for peaceful communication, adjusting how they see us, trust building, and hope and close. And it really is a system. In fact, I use the same system in my marriage today, even though we're very madly in love and happy and thriving, okay? But it takes you wherever you are on that spectrum, even if divorce papers are filed, even if a divorce is finalized. We've actually even helped people in that kind of situation, even if there's a restraining order, okay? But we're gonna take it step by step. So PATH is an acronym here, 4 steps. And using PATH, it is the 4 key areas that we need to change to be able to save our marriage, right? 4 areas to change to save our marriage. And we'll show you what the acronym means today. But I want you to really understand this process. We're all going to start where we are because each of our marriage is different, right? So the starting place is going to be different for each of us. However, as we use these different steps, we like scientifically go with you through this process and we say, okay, is there trust? Yes or no, right? No, okay, we go here. Yes, okay, we go here. I don't know if you can see my my mouse, but it really is taking you through each and every single phase. And when you pass one phase, okay, cool, now you get to go to the next phase. Okay, no, now this thing happened and they say, yeah, I do admit I have been having an affair. Okay, now where do we go? And we take you step by step through the whole process and I'll explain how it works to lead to success. Yeah, you can't read the small words. I blurred them out on purpose because I don't want you to worry about it. Ren says, yay, a flow chart. Yeah, we're going to flow chart a marriage. No, it's to symbolize that this really is a process and it's a system that's designed to work in all of these different challenges, even if your spouse says they're done and don't want to work on the marriage anymore. So why is this method different? If you're like me, you've probably, read maybe a couple different books or talked to a couple different people, maybe looked at a couple different programs, talked to your therapist, right? So why is this different? First of all, it's designed to get you immediate relief. Like I said, we set out to research working with thousands of couples, including in our own marriages, what worked for us, right? But not just for us, the thousands of couples that we've helped as well, to get you immediate relief, to get you the love that you crave as fast as humanly possible. Does that sound like something you want? Or do you want to spend years in therapy? It's fine, either way, it's your choice, but it's not the typical therapist model. So therapists, for one, I know I heard this, they say, I need your husband to come with you in order to get you results. And if your wife isn't willing to come with you, and your husband isn't willing to come with you, then I can't help you. It takes 2 to tango. So they won't help you in that situation. So then what do you do? Is it over? Not the typical therapist model here, okay? Therapists rely on you going to them for as long as possible. They want a client long term. So that's why the 1 hour a week, week after week, year after year after year after year kind of model. And therapists, this is interesting, but if you actually do some research, especially here in the United States, but they're actually not allowed to tell you what to do because they're dictated by insurance on how they can help their clients. And so unlike therapy, unlike counseling, we give you that immediate relief. We give you action steps. We are a coach that's in the corner with you, giving you that guidance every step along the way. Raquel says, yes, immediate relief is needed. I started therapy, but it feels like I'm talking to a friend. Amber says, yes. Jake says, yes. Cool. Yeah. So I felt the same way, Raquel, and it's great to be able to talk to a friend, but you need to know what to do and you need to get results quickly. And so that's why we have this PATH process, this PATH method. All right. So the very first step is we do a root assessment. Okay. A root assessment. What happens in that? I don't know why I did that twice. Here we go. So in our root assessment, we scientifically assess your marriage because you're unique, right? It's like I call it your marriage thumbprint. Every person has a different situation because you have your own unique personality and so does your spouse. So we scientifically assess your marriage to determine what the root issues and perceptions are behind their story. Okay, and they say, I don't trust you because you had an affair and I will never trust you again. There's actually way more behind that than what most people realize, and most people focus on that. That's actually the symptom. So whatever their story is, okay, whatever you guys put there in the chat, that's their story, why they want out. That is the symptom. It is not the root issue. And so here's the kicker, okay? Most of us, we can guess 1 or 2 of the reasons why they want out. We can say, okay, they want out because, yeah, I did have an affair 2 years ago. I've been working really hard to build their trust back up, to prove that I am trustworthy and that I am a new person. I'm not going to go back. I'm not going to do that again. But he says, she says, I've been trying to trust you, but I just can't. And the love's gone. And so now I want out. And so we can say, okay, that's a reason why they say they can't trust me. And that's logical, right? We can guess at one or two of the reasons, or we might have a really clear idea about one or two of them. Here's the kicker, guys. There's always one or two more that we are completely unaware of. We have no clue that that was actually going on in their mind. Have you ever been blindsided by them? Have you ever been like, what are you doing? What are you thinking? How on earth are you doing this, right? That's where this comes in. And so we must uncover there's usually 4, sometimes 5 of these underlying root issues behind their story, or we're not going to get them back. And so if you just fix the trustworthy issue on like a symptom level, on a surface level, and you don't understand those other 1 or 2 reasons that they believe that about us, then they're not going to come back. We aren't going to fully restore the marriage and have the happiness that we want long term. Okay, makes sense? So this root assessment is crucial because this is an interesting thing, guys. The more we think we know why they're doing what they're doing, usually the more wrong we actually are. I know that's a hard pill to swallow, but if you want to restore your marriage, then don't you want to know what's really going on, right? And uncover all the reasons why they're leaving. And when you uncover all of them, that's how you get them back. Okay? All right. Ren says he's unhappy with his life, pushing 40, and thinks the grass is greener. Right. So there is definitely some of these underlying root issues going on that are leading him to think that. That is the symptom. And so we want to uncover what the deeper root issues are. As we do that, here's the cool part, is that then we get to uncover exactly what that is, and we have action steps to solve the problems in the right order. All right. So first we do that root assessment, and now we know what actually needs to be changed, which is huge, because for me, maybe you guys feel like this too, I would feel like I just don't know what to do. I've been doing this, I've been doing this, I've been trying this, I've been meditating, I've been working on myself, I've been seeing the therapist, I've been reading these books, I've been trying all these things, I did the love dare, I did the love languages, I did all these things, right? And it still isn't working. He still is closed off to me, and my marriage is still on the verge of falling apart, right? And so what do I do? So now you know what to do, because we've done that root assessment with you. And why don't we see all the reasons ourselves? Sometimes, yeah, Amber says, I'm doing love dare, which is great, usually when your marriage isn't on the verge of divorce. I know the movie makes it seem like that. But from what we've seen with all of our clients is that I'll go into that in a little bit deeper here in a minute. But we want to be able to uncover exactly those root issues are, instead of just attacking them with service and things like that, because it's not going to resonate with them until we actually hit it at the root of where it is. Okay. So now we know exactly what we need to change. And why don't we know what needs to change ourselves? Well, I call it kind of like being in the mud. In fact, we just went to the fair last week and saw a huge mama pig about to give birth, and she was rolling in the mud, right? And she was just covered in it. And sometimes we're like so covered in the mud that we can't see it for ourselves. We're so in the thick of our emotions and the challenges and just the chaos of life. It's so overwhelming. And we're in our old patterns and our old habits, or we're just completely overwhelmed. We have no idea what the root issues are. And so that's why we come in and we help you get that perspective on what they really are. Amber says that makes sense. Yeah. All right. So now step 2, now after we do the root assessment, we know it needs to be changed. Now we need to get communication open, because as you guys know, unless we have communication, if we can't talk to them, you can't change their story. It's a big problem we have to solve first. So I want you guys to put in the chat where your level of communication is at on this spectrum. Okay. Maybe I'll start the very, very worst end. Okay. You have absolutely no communication. There's a restraining order. You legally can't see them. You live on opposite sides of the world. You don't text, you don't talk, nothing, right? No reason to talk, no children to talk about, nothing to talk about. You never communicate. Further up on that spectrum, you can talk about some things, but it's very closed off. They're stonewalling you. They don't want to open up. They don't talk about the relationship. They're just a closed door, right? Step up from that would be things are volatile. You are able to communicate, but it's angry, it's hostile, there's name calling, it's very explosive, there's bringing up past hurt, there's throwing things in your face, there's all of that, right? That's very volatile type of communication, a lot of arguments. Going up from that spectrum would be, we are friendly. We can even talk about things like as friends, and we can talk about the kids, but everything's very surface level, or it's very business-like. And as soon as we talk about the marriage, it's always the same answer. I want out, or I'm done, right? All the way up to, we have great communication. We're friends. We can talk about anything, but there's no love. They say there's no romance. There's no spark. Okay. And then of course, up to the best communication, where you talk about everything, you're madly in love, blah, 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 right? But that's not why we're here, right? So Raquel says communication is hostile. I'm bringing up his affair. Ren says no love, no romance. Ren, texting, sending memes, logistics about kids. He's adamant about divorcing. Melissa, he won't speak about us or read my text. I send him daily because of kids, but it's hostile. He's very angry and adamant about divorce. Carrie, I can talk, but I can't talk to him about my feelings. Scott, second level. Cameron, on again, off again. Blocked me in the next. Raquel, talk all day long. We have 3 kids. He comes over twice a day. Mindy, we communicate, but I feel he holds back a little. Yeah, okay. See if I got them all. And Tarina, no messenger, surface level, very business-like. Ainsworth. Ren, no love, no romance. Okay. Surface level messenger. Okay. Margarita, he talks at me and not to me. Once he gets his point across, he shuts down. I don't get to talk. PC, friends, but no love, no romance. He doesn't want to talk or work on it. Okay. So we've got a lot of different ranges here on the spectrum. So I'm going to talk about how we can use this exact tool here. Step 2, how to open up communication wherever you are on the spectrum. I even use it today, like I said. And so how do we get that communication open, right? First of all, I want to let you guys know, if you're on the spectrum of where things are really closed off or things are very volatile and it's really challenging to talk about things, it's going to be ugly. Even if you are even at the stage of friendly and you're trying to build the romance, it can still be really ugly here. I don't want to build you guys with false hope. I want to let you guys know exactly what this looks like so that we can be real about it, right? The goal actually isn't positive communication at first. Weird, huh? It's true. It's just to get communication open. And we consider it a huge win when we help you to go from the place of not talking at all, stonewalling, completely shut off, to now they're kind of emotionally vomiting all over you and they're letting you know all of the ugliness about their story, right? They're kind of throwing it all in your face. That is a huge win compared to no communication at all. So how do we do that? How do we finally get them to open up? And this is a big challenge for most people when their spouse wants out, right? So first, there's a couple of things that we need to stop. I really want you to pay attention to this part. I would say everyone, but I'll say 99% of everyone I've talked to makes one of these mistakes. In fact, I'll be the first to raise my hand and say, I made every single one of these mistakes myself. And this can be a huge aha light bulb moment for us, okay? First, we have to stop demanding that they work on the marriage. How many of us are doing that? We're saying things like, you vowed to me in your marriage vows that you would be with me in sickness and in health, and better and in worse, to death do us part. And you need to honor that vow. Or you covenanted with me, right? Or our marriage, our religion is against divorce. And so we need to honor our faith and our belief in God and what he wants for us. Or it's better for us if we work on it with the kids. Divorce is not good for them, right? And so here's the thing, guys, is that that's right. Yeah. Always sending him our vows. Exactly, Raquel. So pay attention. Scott, all of these. Amber, yeah, me. Guilty, Margarita says 4 to 6 months. Mindy, I'm definitely all 3 of them. So when we are demanding that they work on the marriage with us, because they did make a vow, they did promise us, it might be against our religion. It might not be the best, thing for us morally. It might be against God's will if we have that belief. And it might be better for the kids. We are justified in that. It's true. But here's the thing, guys, is that as we put demands on them, the more we push them to work on the marriage, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? Does it ever really work to turn them around? If they're already checked out, they're already done, maybe they're having an affair, they're in love with someone else, is that going to turn things around? Our demands on them? Ren says they don't care, it pushes them away. Yeah, Raquel says they pull away more. Exactly. So that's why we have to stop. Even if we're justified, even if we're right, it's like, do we want to be right or do we want to be happy? It's like that quote there, but it's really important that we stop demanding that they work on the marriage with us, because that's only going to push them further away. We also have to stop manipulating, pleading, acting out of desperation, right? Manipulating might sound like, I'm going to take the kids from you. I'm going to ruin your credit. I'm going to wreck you financially. I'm going to destroy your reputation. And we say these things because we're angry. And part of us is hoping that they'll take our threat seriously and then stop what they're doing. But it never works. It only pushes them further away. The pleading, please don't leave. Please don't do this to me. Please don't do this to our family. Please, please, please. I beg you, give me another chance. Let's work on this. Let's go to counseling. Please, 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 right? Acting out of desperation. And the final one is stopping, because we stop freezing, like the fight, flight, or freeze response. Sometimes we freeze and we do nothing out of fear. So we're so afraid of doing the wrong thing that we end up doing nothing. And then our marriage ends, right? And so where does this really come from? This manipulation, this desperation, this freezing. Welcome, Galaxy. Yeah, he says, done this all. Ren says he wants to get rid of me and keep the kids full time. Yeah. So where does this come from? Why do we get into this state of desperation? This pleading, this manipulation, this demanding that they work on things, right? Where does it come from? I want to hear in the chat. I'm going to wait for it. Well, you guys really think about, where does all of this emotion and this energy come from? Why do we get into these kind of states? And like I said, 99% of us do these things. Scott says ego, Ren, fear, wanting to be loved, Amber, from the past. Yeah, wanting to be wanted, desperation, ego. Yeah. And so this comes from that fear. The fear puts us into the limbic system of our brain, which is the fight, flight, or freeze response. It cuts off the reasoning part. It literally cuts off like almost all the blood flow to the reasoning part of our brain. And so we're acting from a very animalistic state because we're afraid of losing someone. We're afraid of pain. We're afraid of getting hurt. We're afraid of loss, right? No one wants to face that. And most of the time we get stuck in this fear. And then it only pushes our spouse further away. Imagine that you're in a room with someone and they're very tense. They're very scared and they come at you and they're pleading. They're acting out of desperation. They're manipulating. They're demanding you do things, right? How do you feel? What do you instinctively want to do when someone is in a room with you and they're very, very tense? It makes you want to pull away, right? It makes you want to create some space and distance yourself so you feel safe, okay? So your spouse is doing the same thing. They want to feel safe. And right now, we're not a safe space to them when we're in this kind of state. Even if we're doing what we think are the right things, like I'm going to fight for my marriage. I'm going to, send her 10 text messages a day. I'm going to send her all these like loving quotes and send one of you guys mentioned the marriage vows, right? Sending that to them over and over and over. Or I'm going to be like so awesome. I'm going to meet her needs. I'm going to be there. I'm going to be so supportive. I'm going to be understanding. I'm going to be totally trustworthy. And we do all of these things that we think are really, really positive. But if the underlying current is still fear and desperation to try to get them back, they're going to sense it. It's going to come across as even a kind manipulation, right? A loving manipulation, but it's still a selfish one because we want to get them back. And so they will sense that and they will not feel safe with us. That's why we have to stop doing these things. So now we're going to talk about what we must do instead, because we can't just simply stop something. We have to put something in its place, right? It went ahead. Okay. What we do instead, we're going to take the pressure off. Take the pressure off of them, take the pressure off of us, and take the pressure off the marriage. When we take the pressure off, it gives us space and freedom to allow the things that we want to come to us. It allows us to have that feeling internally, truly, of I'm okay no matter what happens. And that creates a safe space for them and for us. We also start increasing understanding. It sounds like this, okay? Here's an example, like, I care about you and I know this can't be easy for you. I'm sure this has been really hard for you to go through as well. I'm sure this has been really challenging. I really want to understand where you're coming from, not because I'm trying to get you back. In fact, whether the marriage works or not, I just want to become a better version of myself and I want to be able to understand you better. Is that something you can help me with? Do you sense the difference there? Do you sense how that would feel safer? That they would feel like, okay, wow, that is a safe space for me to open up. And so this is what we help you with in the second stage. We start doing what actually works with calm confidence. There's an incredible shift here, guys. If you can make this shift, and you're going to have support to do it and guidance along the way. But when you make this shift here from the state of fear and pressure and anxiety and tension to I'm okay no matter what happens, you experience so much peace, even in the midst of the hardest circumstances of your life, right? And you can become a rock in the storm that cannot be moved. And your spouse will feel that, your children will feel it, and it is incredibly powerful. Okay, Keith, pay attention to the next part then. So now, in this push versus pull, we don't want to push them. We actually want to pull them towards us like a magnet, where it's just natural, it's easy. And our spouse is going to feel safe with us to be able to open up communication. Just remember, it's usually the ugly kind. We have to take a deep breath and just know it's part of the process. Okay, it's actually a win. And that brings us then to the third stage, which is retrust. I love this stage. You guys are gonna love this stage too. So Heath, pay attention to what stage you're at here. So here is ceasefire. Ceasefire, stage 3 is building, the trust back. We're gonna shift that really negative communication that they're throwing at us, but we are in more of a calm, neutral state as much as we can. We learn how to emotionally process through that fear so that we can feel at peace and we can feel calm and centered and truly the best version of ourselves, right? We work to become that. So now we shift that negative communication to what we call neutral communication. And people love this stage. Our clients love this stage. And this is where it gets really fun, because that first stage is really challenging, right? So we want to know that there's some light there. And what we see happen here is that our spouse actually gives us the time of day. Yeah, they're actually willing to talk about things with us. That arguments that you guys are talking about, that volatility, that stonewalling, no more of that. And you're able to talk about anything. Things start to feel really good here. You start to have connection. You truly are able to talk about things you haven't talked about in years or if ever before. Oftentimes in this stage here, we'll see clients, they'll go on dates again. They'll have long conversations with each other. They'll feel like friends again. Oftentimes we'll see wedding rings come back on. The spouse will come back home if there's been a separation. They'll put all the talk about divorce and everything kind of on pause, and you're able to really build a great connection. And you feel like, man, we've made so much progress, and you have, and it's awesome, but you're not done yet. So Keith, if you're on here, this might be where you're at. All right. I need to make Sergio panelist. How do I do it? Welcome, Sergio. Sergio's my partner here. So he's going to come on at the end here and answer some of our questions and stuff like that. So just hold on a second. Well, I'm not great at attendees. Okay. All right. So I really want you guys to pay attention to where you are in this process, which stage you are at. Okay. All right, cool. I made Sergio panelist. So welcome, Sergio. Thanks for joining us. It's going to be exciting to have you on. Go ahead and unmute yourself and let us know whenever
you go.
Awesome.
Hello, everyone.
Hey.
Hello, Heather.
Sergio is
cool, guys. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for attending here. Thank you, Heather, for the masterclass. Anyways, I don't want to interrupt it. I will just be at the end to answer questions and everything. So I don't want to interrupt you, Heather, but yeah, keep going forward.
Yeah, and Ren, you're making me laugh so much. Tech has a bad case of the Mondays. It's true. All right. So now that we've gotten to this stage, we make incredible progress, and people think like, I've done it. I've restored my marriage, and it feels so great. But here's the bottom line, guys: is you're not done yet. And most people make the crucial mistake of getting to this stage and then thinking that they've done everything they need to. They push their spouse to drop the divorce or come back home, and then boom. Here we get to stage 4, okay? This is where we really need to fully change that story that they have about us so that they will want to come back. We're going to do that by systematically removing their old beliefs about us and replace them so they see themselves happy with us again. Remember that exercise you guys did at the beginning, right? How good it would feel to have that. This is the final stage and the final thing that we need to do to get to that place, okay? And completely remove that story so that there's no underlying currents there. It's not going to come up again, and they're going to fully want to give us their heart again. Here's how it works, though. We don't work on ourselves to achieve this. I hope this is clear, right? It's not about working on ourselves. It's about working on how our spouse views us, about changing their beliefs and working on those root causes, right? So we don't just say, you can trust me. We show them we are trustworthy. And we do that because saying something and being something are two different things. Now, we go through this process throughout the entire path journey, okay? This path system, we, as your guide, right, as your expert, we specialize in exactly these challenges that you face so that you know first what to do, because we need to know what to do. Some of us are like, I have no idea what to do and what I'm doing isn't working. So what do I do, right? This just happened. What do I do? She just said she is in love with this other man. What do I do? He just said he doesn't care. He's never coming home. What do I do, right? Second, when to do it. This is important because the same thing that works great at one stage of a marriage could totally backfire in another stage. My husband can come home and wrap me in hugs and kisses and totally gross our kids out. It's awesome. Like, they get so grossed out, but if you did that with your spouse, that would completely backfire. So you need to know not only what to do, but when to do it based on where you're at. Third, if you did it right, having that feedback. I don't know about you guys, but I often get a book or something and I'm like, like a self-help junkie or whatever, but I'm like, I'm going to totally do this, but I have no idea if I did it right. I played basketball in high school and I would work on my free throw shot, but it wasn't until my coach said, hey, Heather, your hips are turned. You need to square your hips up to the basket. You need to put your hands like this. You need to leverage your legs. And that gave me the feedback to know if I'm doing it correctly. Okay. So it's not just about knowing what to do, when to do, but we have to know if we did it right. So then we can make actual progress, right? And fourth, I laugh about this one, but it's true. If we actually even did it. Accountability, because some of you might be here on this masterclass and say, like, this makes so much sense. Yeah, I'm totally going to do this. I'm going to take the pressure off. I'm going to, stop demanding that they work on the marriage with me. I'm going to work on their root issues, but the next day we wake up and what do? We go back to doing the same thing we always did because those habits that we've built up to this point are so strong. So we need to have that accountability if we're actually even taking action and doing these things. And fifth, once we get to that stage and we're like, okay, I did what you said. I did when you said to do it. I did it right. Now what is the next step? And we repeat this loop over and over again. And that is how we have success. All right. Does that make sense? Let me know in the comments. Does that process make sense? I'm going to go back really quick because this is crucial, guys. This loop right here is the formula for success. You repeat that over and over again, step by step, day by day, conversation by conversation, text message by text message, and we're there with you every step of the way and give you that feedback so you know that you're making progress in the right direction and that we're doing it as fast as humanly possible. Raquel says, makes sense. He says, yes. Cool. Galaxy, yes, makes sense. Good. If you guys have any questions, go ahead and let me know. I'm here to help you guys make sure it makes sense. I know it's a lot I'm throwing at you. All right. Here's the other thing that we don't do at this stage. Really want you to pay attention. Remember I talked about a ceasefire? It's going to feel really good. You feel like friends. You made all this progress. They come home. You go on dates. They put their wedding ring back on. You think you're there and you're not. I'm not here to build you, give that false hope to you guys. I want you guys to know we do not give up when it gets hard here because it's actually going to get bad, like really bad. I want you to understand, like really, really bad. In fact, most of our clients want to give up at this point. They think it's not working during this step. They've made all this progress, right? We're friends. We talk about anything. We stay up late at night. We talk about all these things. It's great. Like we're understanding each other so much more. We have connection again. And then boom, what happens is at this point, your spouse is going to give you a test. It's not consciously, right? They're not consciously like, hey, I'm going to wake up and give, Dan a test or Raquel a test today or N a test today, But what they're doing is they're going to test the waters here to see if we're for real, if they can fully give us their heart again. Most of their heart really wants to come to us again. They want to fall in love with us again. They want to trust us. They want to have it work, but they're still holding on to a little bit of that fear, a little bit of that resistance. They're afraid of getting hurt. They're holding on to their story, the last little bit of it, okay? And so they're going to test you with that. And we've identified that there's 12 tests that most spouses put you through before they finally change their belief about us, okay? And we will teach you how to pass all of them. So here's an example. You guys know about you guys know that your spouse knows you so well, right? And that they know how to push every single one of your buttons. So if they're saying like, I love you, but I'm not in love with you anymore, or I love you, but the romance is dead, right? Kind of that story going on, then over like the past several weeks, you've gotten to the point where you can talk about anything. You had this great connection, and they'll say, you know what? I'm so glad we're understanding each other now. We're going to be great at co-parenting. And you're like, what? No, like, I love you, but I'm not in love with you anymore. They're going to bring that story back up. And I think of this phase right here as like the final test, the Mount Doom. If you like Lord of the Rings, I do. Like Mount Doom, right? We've gone all this way and we're almost there. And now we have this final battle. It's like their story and all their fears are going to come raging out at us, and they're going to test us with those buttons and push every single one of them to see, are we going to go back to pleading? Are we going to go back to manipulating? Are we going to go back to cheating on them? Are we going to go back to whatever it is that they're afraid of? And so we need to show them we're for real, that they can let their story go. We can give you their they can give us their heart again. We are a safe place for them. They can be happy with us again. Does that make sense? All right. So this is a crucial stage here. And this is really important that we not only work on improving our marriage, but that we change their story about us. When we change their story about us, then we can get them back for good. All right. Yes, Carrie says, cool. If anyone has questions, let me know. PC, we're at the co-parenting stage now, still living together. We even did a contract of co-parenting. Yeah, so you're still living together. That's awesome. That's very, very good. Very good sign. And if you're not, it's okay. Most people aren't living together when they first come to work with us, and a co-parenting contract. So you've gotten to this stage where you can be amicable with each other, but now we need to fully let their story go. Yeah, exactly. You're afraid is set in her ways. Exactly. That's where everyone is when they start, Heath. And so, that's exactly what we have to change, because they do seem set in their ways. They say, I'm done. It's over. That's it. Right? Melissa, we'll let you know here in just a second. And if you need to go, then listen to the replay. Okay. All right. So I want to ask you a question and put this in the chat, right? How good will it feel to replace the overwhelm that you're feeling with direction, confusion with clarity, fear and pain with hope, and with peace? That is what having a coach on your side with the right method gives you. Sounds good, right?